food allowance of students must increase to 2,000. Transport allowance, since you have seen, all of you, that this issue of petrol have increased drastically. It must also increase to 1,000 rand. And also the book allowance system must also increase, because if you can check, material of studying, they've also increased. When food and other things are increasing, even the cost of living, they're increasing. So these are some of the things that SRC want to deliver to students. But clear on that.
Pakamane simeka, pakamane mtate, pakamane mlanjeni, ePark View nase Riverside. And listen to the exuberant voice, the voice of hope. For the sun has risen, and the wind has blown the walls of Univen. Lihe kaidi mametsi, utla bona inwile. Chaswa, chatukutela, ndichunga, chambudzi na kolomo. Univen podcast, authenticity at your fingertips.
We are still out and about bringing authentic content to your fingertips, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined in studio by who else if it is not Mphile, Maluka, commonly known as Dogstyle. Welcome on board, man.
Yeah, how are you, my brother?
I am all good. How are you?
Well,
I'm also fine. So, where we are going to start today, where did this name come from? Because everyone also on campus knows that you are Dogstyle. And I don't know if maybe it is a place that you always want to see yourself at or something like that. So, can you please tell me how did it all come about?
My name is Maluka, the Minister of Gender and Living with Disability. As confirmed by Home Affairs, but as confirmed by comrades usually call me Dogstyle. The name of Dogstyle, in fact, was given by comrade, if you still remember, comrade Mphile. He was the president of SRC, I think 2017, when I started to join SRC. So it has been there. But however, the full content of the name will be disclosed after election. But one thing that you must know is that it comes from petrol politics.
Hey.
Yeah.
So it means that you are dangerous on that side. For you to can even come out with an impeller, people understand that bedroom politics are some of the things that maybe they cannot be out there to be known by anyone. But for it to become a name, it means that massive things were happening in the bedroom.
Our Dogstyle is a national position in the nation. It's an international position. Everyone likes it.
Yeah.
Every student out there, if you tell them about Dogstyle, they will tell you to have Dogstyle.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so it's a national position. Each and every bedroom is possible for you to find people engaging in such a progressive style.
Yeah. So now, Mphile, I want to understand now as to where do you come from and how did your upbringing came about as a leader? Because I believe that some of the times when you get to meet leaders, maybe at a later stage in our lives, or as young as they are, you can get to derive or to extract some traits through which maybe we can get to tell that this person was a leader from back then. So I want to understand about your upbringing.
Alright. Myself, I'm from Mpumalanga, Nelspruit, Pinar. Deep, it's not a deep rural area, but I can say it's a mini deep rural area where we're coming from. I'm just a normal boy who grew up in a poor village. Then we started to have questions inside about the surroundings that have been happening. If one day I will get the opportunity, I must bring change. So growing from there, I then, passing my metric, I then applied to come to this university. Coming here in this university, as a first year, I suffered. And fortunate enough, I was assisted by comrades of SASCO to get the admission. After being admitted here, that's when I started to learn some of the politics and the dynamics, learning the environment, because leaders usually say that it's the duty of young people to learn and learn. And not only to learn books and academics, but also to learn the environment where you are and how you can change it. So me being here, I managed to learn some of the things that were happening, how the management also used to prepare students. So I had to learn and adapt and come with ideas on how to change and advocate for students in the future. So that's why even now where we are, as we've also emerged as the president-elect of SASCO, we are still availing ourselves in order to come and champion student issues, since we have managed to learn most of the problems that have been happening in this institution and the development that we want to bring in this institution. So all in all, I'm just a normal person, a normal guy, a rural boy, a ruralitarian, as I can say, yeah.
So now I heard you telling us about President Minentle back in the year 2017. So this simply means that there is where your political journey started, for us to be able to know you today as Dogstyle. So I want to get to understand that now that you mentioned that the comrades of SASCO, they were the ones who helped you to get assistance when it comes to admission. Was it the primary reason you joined SASCO, or maybe from home you were already active in politics to an extent that when you got here, it was just a breed for you to get into the student politics?
I know from home, since I was still young, I was not much active into politics. But coming here in this institution, you know, SASCO is the first friend on campus. Immediately when I arrived here, the first friend that I met was the comrades of SASCO. So SASCO welcoming me, I felt home. SASCO became my home away from home. Hence, I decided, no, this is where as a comrade I must belong. But most fundamentally was also the policies and ideas that SASCO is pushing. Because SASCO, if you can check, since its formation in 1991, it has been there championing student interest in the history of Highland. So it has been passing through generation to generation. Then myself, when I joined in 2017, I was part of the generation that must continue the struggle of the organization of fighting and championing free education in the history of Highland. Yeah.
No, so I get to see and understand. There is a video of you singing, but in politics we don't really say singing, but we say sloganizing. You were even holding a candle, singing, sloganizing to an extent that one could see that you were doing it from within. So was it something that you knew that you can sloganize, or maybe it's something that you got along the way on the journey of politics?
I can say it's something that, you know, us as mates and boys, young boys, you grow up singing those small songs, understand? And then you start to have the passion of singing. And when we were introduced to politics usually we sing Slogan and Sequiju. That's where we use it to send a message to the people. Sometimes the message cannot only be sent through text, but through sloganizing. Hence, even in that slogan, I'm saying "Utumakali mama, Uzulu," meaning that you know, in most cases, our parents, usually our mothers, they are the one who are always close to us, and whenever we have a problem, they are the first people to cry and to be emotional. So to give your mother a hope, you are telling your mother, "Mama, umakhaya, one day will defeat the issues of gender-based violence. One day will defeat the issues of arrogant management in the institution of higher learning. One day will defeat the issues of unemployment to graduate. One day will defeat all the triple challenges that are facing young people in this country and in the world in general." Yeah.
Well, what you are saying is quite remarkable, because maybe people may not get to see and understand the reasons why students or student politicians get to sing those slogans and the meaning behind. Because I've checked both in different political parties that the slogans that are being sung there we derived from back then when our comrades in arms were still in exile and things like that. So it is really important for people to get to understand their context and everything. So now, as we speak, elections are just around the corner. And moving around the campus, you can get to see that the mood is already that one of elections. And I want to know, you guys as SASCO, you are now at the forefront of SASCO, leading them to this year's elections. What is it that you can see that you've got in hand in preparation of the whole campaign? Because it gets hectic towards the final days.
As SASCO, I can say that we are on board. We are running programs, if you can say, even this week as we're speaking, we're making sure that our female comrades get nailed. So far, in terms of programs, we're fine. What we're having to students, we're saying that the student must just expect anything from SASCO. Because SASCO, we always go with the mood of student. What students want, we make sure we provide it as soon as possible. So those are the things that students expect, but each and every day they must expect a SASCO program. Yeah.
And I believe that you also remember that now this year you are going to these elections as the opposition, and you guys are not the ruling party as it stands. I want to get to understand as to, if you remember, you guys took power in 2018 October during the elections till last year. The same month. So I want to understand as to what are the things that maybe you think that back then during your leadership, maybe it is those reasons why students isolated you, and now you have realized that those were your wrongs and now you want to correct them as you enter into a new dispensation.
We understand. First, I would say that indeed we had the previous government that due to material conditions of COVID-19 and other changes to the university, they failed to deliver most of the issues to students. Again, we also appreciate the students that managed to vote for us, even though we had failures again as an organization. However, the current SASCO, under the face of Dogstyle, Mphile, Maluka, myself, we are going to make sure that we bring change. Hence, we are saying even our slogan that change amakia. We are meaning that students now must be in a position of changing gears, of changing the current ruling party and try a new taste of leadership. Because standing where we are now, students in all of campus residences, 68 of them, they are struggling. They can't even access Wi-Fi. They have Wi-Fi called UIGC Connect, which does not even connect, of which is a problem. So those are things that as SASCO are committing ourselves that going forward, all off-campus residences, they must have a backup private Wi-Fi. It's either they use this Wi-Fi like this one of a router, so that we know whenever there's load shedding, a student can be able to also access. Other than this thing of saying that, you know, there's a tower somewhere that was lower. And again, some of the things that are part of our manifesto as SASCO is that if you have checked, the cost of living is too high. And lastly, if you can check, NSAS last increased food allowance and allowances 2018, you understand, to 1.5. And the bread that we were buying in 2018 with 10 rand, today, in 2022, we are buying it with 16 rand, meaning that the same grocery that we were buying in 2018 is no longer the same grocery that we can afford in 2022. So therefore, as SASCO, this is part of the thing that we are pushing for, that food allowance of students must increase to 2,000. Transport allowance, since you have seen, all of you, that this issue of petrol have increased drastically, it must also increase to 1,000 rand. And also the book allowances, they must also increase, because if you can check, material of studying, they've also increased. When food and other things are increasing, even the cost of living, they're increasing. So these are some of the things that SASCO are going to deliver to students. But clear on that, and it is an idea that we are going to fight for. And also, going forward, we also want to initiate a program. We'll engage with also the stakeholders of the university on trying to lobby driving schools to come and work with the university in order to at least try and subsidize the fees of a driver's license for graduate. Because if you can check currently, if you're a graduate without a driver's license, it is very much difficult for you to be marketable. So we want to create graduates that are internationally competitive that are also marketable. So it's better when you graduate, you have a driver's license, you have a degree, then you are able to start somewhere. And again, if you have seen that it has been long in this institution without having a freshers board. So SASCO, this is part of the things that we are going to make sure that we deliver. Make sure that all the artists that we always see on Channel 4, they must come here, and students, they must enjoy, and for free for that matter. We're tired of dancing in the dusty crown one. Must go and arrange a proper program. And again, we're still saying that as SASCO, when we enter into power, we are going to make sure that we host a massive graduation for all postgraduate, whereby you even come with your uncles to come and see you. Not this thing what we've seen in the auditorium, whereby you just graduate and you leave. Just like that. You can't even enjoy. Your family can't even come and support you when you're graduating. So these are some of the things that as SASCO are going to fight for. That graduation, we are going to create, we are going to deliver a massive graduation like any other institutions. It was going to come here. And also, since I was the Minister of Gender and Student Living with Disability, we have realized that students living with disability are having a lot of needs, more especially when it comes to the issues of facilities around campus. It is very much difficult for a student living with disability to go and access the room or the office of the office, looking at the facility, checking in other blocks, lecture halls. They can't even access. A student using a wheelchair, there are blocks that they can't even access. So those are some of the things. And also wanted to initiate, I was engaging also with the chairperson of disability that even in future, as long as checking also with the availability of funds, we wanted to start a permanent program that students living with disability, more especially females, they must not use any cent to go and buy sanitary towels. They must come and always get them at the disability level. So these are some of the things. We are not going to touch everything, but these are fundamental issues. And if you have checked, more especially the issues of finance, as SASCO have made sure that we deliver all financial issues of students in time. For the first time in history under the current government of the ruling party, students are still struggling to get a mere book allowance, meaning that we are having a government that does not take student academic serious. You understand? If you can check now the statistics of the students that have passed first semester and failed, you'll see the number. You'll see what these students were affected by these issues of book allowance. So as SASCO, we're going to make sure that as we've done it before, that we deliver book allowance as early as February. We're going to do it. As we've done it before, to deliver transport allowance as early as February. We're going to do it.
Okay, no, I get to see and understand that you guys really gave yourself time to go and sit down and analyze all the things that are happening with regard to the students and their interest. So, at Dogstyle, last year, towards the final days of the elections, you were now the one who was the presidential candidate of SASCO, particularly because one who was the one who had been chosen before was no longer qualified. So this one is bringing you to the question to say, when are you qualifying this time around?
Oh, myself, I'm a postgraduate. I fail to first tell you, I'm a graduate. I'm currently doing masters in law. And as a postgraduate, you know, it's very much clear for you to qualify. And in terms of qualifying, we're very much clear, we're fine, we're sorted. And again, one thing that I want to clarify is that last year, it was rumors that the presidential candidate of SASCO. In fact, SASCO went to the ballot without the presidential candidate. That was representing the organization. So those were what was happening. This is my first time where I'm being elected democratically, so I was the president of SASCO. So last year, the South African Student Congress only went to the ballot without a presidential candidate.
So Mara, don't you think that going there, even though you are saying that if they're saying it was you who was a presidential candidate, then it was rumors, don't you think that maybe it contributed to the drastical when you get the votes were drastically low for SASCO at that particular time? Because when people go to realize that your fellow comrade was not qualifying, it was at the verge of elections. Don't you think that maybe somehow it affected the students and their votes?
What affected the students the most is that students know their leaders. And as an organization, all of us were rallying behind one president. And going forward was that even though you can say that students just shifted and what, but students, they know their leaders, and the student cannot just only go and vote for this logo because it's beautiful or it's because it's the ANC. Students want to see the person behind the logo, and if there's no person behind this logo, means that this logo is not deep. So that's why students will always vote for a person that they can see. Well, this person will be available for us, is qualifying, will deliver. Hence, some of the people who voted for us, we still appreciate them. Those who still believed in us, even though we didn't have a presidential candidate, we still appreciate them. And again, for us losing, it also gave us enough opportunity to go and do a self-introspection as an organization on where did we go wrong, and it is how we are going to fix going forward. Sometimes losing, it does not mean that you are not capable. Sometimes losing, it means that you must go back again to the ground and work the ground to do more. You understand? Because students, they are the one who vote and they know their leaders. Immediately when they arrive on the ballot, if you will not with them the whole year, they will also not be with you on the ballot.
So you guys are ready for a total takeover?
Yeah, we are very much ready. We are very much confident on that one leader. We are going to take a total takeover. We are changing gears. Students are also clear, giving us a positive signal. Because we've seen that students are suffering under this current ruling party. We've seen that the students have been struggling since from day one. And after struggling, these comrades, they only use students to mobilize and fight their battles. You find tomorrow they've suspended each other. This one will be mobilizing people here who are contesting them, of which is wrong. And again, the way even they politicize also the issues of the SRC, make students to serve. It can't be that whenever we're saying that when you are the government, you exclude other organizations in championing interest. When you're SRC, you need to work as a collective. So these are some of the things that they fail to do. And when failing to do that, students suffered. So that's why we're saying that we're confident, we're ready, and the student gave us a signal to say that no, we also want to see change. We're tired of this current ruling party. We're tired of for these past 9 months. So I can give you assurance that we are ready. On the 13th of October, as time is moving, we are going to take it.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, presidential candidate of SASCO today, as the elections are now around the corner. So we are very much grateful for having you on Univen podcast, and we are wishing you all the best towards the elections on the 13th of October this year. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Univen podcast. We are out of here.
Thank you, Linda.
Univen podcast. Authenticity at your fingertips.